afternoon, Ulrike. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Now, GS1 has been on pretty much every speaker's lips at some point during their presentations today, and you are leading the way with medical device standards. It's a massive talking point. What are first of all, what are the biggest, where are we up to?
We are definitely up to identification, marking of every medical device product, because that's what the upcoming regulation will ask of us. That's what the concerns of regulatory bodies are on the one hand side, and it's what hospital needs on the other side. And I think you have heard the NHS today very much also with regards to the need to have traceability, to have effectiveness, to reduce cost. As he said, there is no more money, so we need to see where we can save money.
Absolutely, and not having to have these translations between each system.
Exactly, we must all talk, as we always say, one language, so we must agree on one language where we can speak with each other. If you talk one language and I another, and we don't know each other's language and we can't agree on one common approach, then it's very difficult to really have a good understanding and have an effective communication. And that's what needs to happen in healthcare also.
Of course. So what if everyone seems to be on side, as they do? We've seen from the vendor side, from places like Siemens, we've seen from the NHS, everyone wants this to happen. Why is it so difficult at this point? What's stopping people?
I think for a long time people have hesitated because there was this famous NN hack issue. The manufacturers saying, I don't want to move forwards if the hospitals are not using it, and also that topic you have heard today. The hospitals saying, I will not invest and do something in this perspective if I have just a small percentage of my manufacturers doing something. I think we are over that, and I think you have rightly commented that we see now really the movement towards implementation. But it's not easy. I mean, the retail industry has also used quite a number of years to do implementation. I think we will do it quicker in healthcare, but it will need some time. And I think we are progressing now, really.
And I know that a lot of this is also surrounding around patient safety. And how is it that something as simple as a standard essentially comes down to a joint serial number? How does that help patient safety?
There are multiple aspects of it. During a break, I heard somebody saying, oh, at the end it's just a parcel which needs to be shipped. That's true. On the other hand side, if in that parcel is a heart valve which is needed for a surgery at the open heart of a patient, then that's somehow different than a yogurt which goes to a supermarket, right? So there is a sensitiveness. We need to have the products in place, but we don't need to have huge inventories. That's definitely true. But there is where supply chain is important also for patient safety. We know about medical errors which are happening, unfortunately. If you don't identify, you can't trace a product. And in Europe, I think the PIP scandal has really moved a lot of things and a lot of regulatory body to say we need to do something to be able to find back if there happens something to the products which have been put into patients, and we need to be able to find the patients back. And again, there it is where we must relate identification of products to patients.
Are we now yet in a position then where we think a deadline is that has been set for the standard to come in?
Yes, definitely. With the draft of the FDA UDI regulation, with the just recent publication of the EU UDI regulation, I think we see now that the deadlines are there. There's no doubt anymore.
When do we think that's set for then?
I think for the US and for the US market at least, I think it will be 2014 where we'll see really implementation of implants, so the most difficult and the most sensitive products. On the other side, you have heard, and you will probably hear more during the conference, that we have also provider side who are now saying we don't want to wait for regulations anymore, and who are putting other and sometimes shorter deadlines out there. And I expect really until 2016 to have seen a really big move on implementation. So in the next few years, this will ramp up.
As GS1 are essentially the governing body over the standard, how are you working with all the different sides, all the different companies? How are you getting them to actually agree on what should be in the standard and how that's going to be laid out, what the roadmap will be?
Our standards are voluntary, but on the other side, while we are the governing body, we are governed by the industry. So the industry is really driving what we are doing as GS1 and in our global user group. Industry is determining the direction and when we should do what. And they agree to that. And at the end, you will find that people are very reasonable and want to come to agreement and not fight, because it's in the interest of everybody. It's supply chain efficiency, it's patient safety. Who would be against that? Nobody, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where the industry is really coming together and driving this forward.
So finally, how do you then envisage the structure, the mechanic behind the standard? How will that look in practice?
In practice, you will have one unique product identification for each product, which will be sometimes looking similar to what we know in supermarkets, what we use every day there. But as we need in healthcare also additional information like lot number, like expiry date, like a serial number for implants, we will see also other barcodes, like the little square ones, which we see more and more, the data metrics.
Get enough in the QR code?
Yeah, no, it's the data metrics really, which is in healthcare used the most. It's the QR code is mostly used to link to web pages. Data metric is really the preferred barcode, also a 2D barcode in the healthcare sector, because it's small with a lot of information in it, and that's what the healthcare industry is looking forward to. And don't forget that this always links to databases where you then will hold the information about the product. So there will be information available, and at the end that will help us to also ensure traceability and to find products back and record what has happened to each patient.
Well, there's so many other things I could ask, but I think we're reasonably out of time for now, and I know that you've got to get ready for chairing the sessions for the rest of the day. If people want to know more about the progress of the project, well, I say project, the whole change to the industry, where can they go?
They can go into session B and listen to us. They're not here. Go to the GS1 Healthcare website. You will find a world of information there. You find business cases, you find case studies, which I think it's very important to show what has really happened already today and where implementation is already taking place, because that will stimulate learning. This will stimulate you to do similar things and have the same benefits as others have already derived.
Marvelous. Thank you very much, Ulrike.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.